My name is Laverne Cole, 30 years old. I should have been in the happiest season of my life, counting down the days to my December wedding, arranging twinkling lights and winter flowers, finalizing songs, tasting cakes, but instead every decision felt like walking barefoot across glass. What should have been a celebration had slowly turned into a battlefield I never meant to enter. My fiancé, Ethan, and I had been planning our wedding for over a year. Not a lavish spectacle, not a roaring party with fireworks and gold-plated centerpieces, just a simple, intimate ceremony in an outdoor garden venue that looked magical under soft winter light. We wanted warmth, sincerity, and our closest 50-something people gathered to celebrate with us. A ceremony followed by a humble, cozy lunch. That was the dream. That was all we needed. And honestly, this wasn't a whim. We'd picked December with intention. We'd chosen that venue after touring half a dozen places. We'd saved for it, booked early, paid deposits, paid more than deposits, nearly 60% of the full cost, non-refundable. My mother and sister knew all of this, every detail. But the day my wedding invitations went out, everything shifted sharply. I could feel the turn in the wind before I heard it in their voices. My older sister, Melanie, 3 years older than me, had just gone through a heartbreak so brutal and humiliating that even I couldn't fully wrap my head around it. She had been stood up at the altar a few months earlier by the man she'd only known for 5 or 6 months. They'd planned a tiny church wedding, barely 20 people. 3 from his side. His parents couldn't make it. His friends didn't show. And then he didn't either. They waited in that small church for hours, the candles melting down past the halfway point. My mom kept calling him. My sister kept checking her phone. I remember standing in the back, watching Melanie's face slowly collapse into disbelief. When he finally texted, it was a single message. "I can't do this. I'm not sure." Just like that, everything shattered. I tried to console her, but she looked at me strangely, like my presence itself made her humiliation deeper. She asked to be with Mom and her friends only. I left quietly. I didn't want to intrude where I wasn't wanted. I called her a week later, texted her too, but she didn't answer, left on read. No explanation. So I backed away. Our relationship had always been complicated in that subtle way families can drift without any dramatic blow-ups. Growing up, we weren't enemies, just different. She preferred being home with Mom, listening to gossip, cooking, staying close to the familiar warmth of family. I was always somewhere else, studying for scholarships, joining school clubs, accepting group projects, applying for internships, dreaming outside the walls. I moved out at 18 to attend college far away. Meanwhile, she lived with our parents until her first marriage at 25, and moved right back in 5 years ago when our dad passed away. Since then, the bond between her and my mother became something solid, unshakable, woven tightly by grief, shared routines, and the comfort of not being alone. Meanwhile, I became the satellite daughter. Loved, yes, but orbiting, always orbiting. So when Melanie saw me moving forward with my own life, my engagement, my wedding plans, it must have stirred things in her I never meant to touch. The warning signs truly started when she called me the day our invitations arrived. I thought she was calling to congratulate me. Instead, she asked a weirdly flat question. "So, you're getting married at that outdoor place?" I said yes. She said, "Cool." Then she hung up. I stared at my phone afterward, uneasy. Later that night, Mom called. "Laverne," she said softly, "we need to talk." I knew that tone, the kind she used when she already had a decision in mind and was simply presenting it as a discussion. "What's wrong, Mom?" "I've been thinking about your wedding," she began. "Given everything that happened with your sister, I think you should tone things down." I blinked, confused. "Tone down? What do you mean?" "I mean, cancel the venue," she said as naturally as if she were suggesting I switch brands of toothpaste. "It would be better to just get married at a church or the registrar's office. Something small, something quiet, maybe around 30 people." I thought it was a misunderstanding. "Mom, we've been planning this for over a year. You know how much we've already paid. Most of it is non-refundable." But she didn't budge. "It would be insensitive, Laverne, to have a big, pretty wedding so soon after your sister was left at the altar." My heart sank. "Mom, our wedding isn't big or fancy, and it's been planned long before Melanie even met her fiancé." "It doesn't matter," she insisted. "Your sister is hurting. Seeing you walk down a decorated aisle might be too much for her." There it was, the real reason. So you're asking me to cancel my wedding? I think that's the best way to protect her feelings, she said casually, as if she weren't detonating a bomb on the most important day of my life. I couldn't speak for a moment. When I told her we couldn't postpone again, especially after delaying once due to Ethan's job overseas, Mom sighed heavily. You postponed once for your fiancé, she said. If you love your sister, you can postpone again. I felt heat rising in my chest. That's not fair. Yes, it is, she said sharply. And if you weren't so selfish, you'd see that. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Later, I told Ethan everything, and he tried to understand. I get why your mom feels bad for Melanie, he said gently. If this were my brother, I might feel weird too. Maybe we could do something simpler, if it makes everyone less upset. His voice was soft. His intentions were kind. But those words felt like a slice to the chest. It made me wonder, was I the problem? Was I being insensitive without realizing it? Could I really go through with this wedding knowing my sister would be sobbing somewhere? For the first time, the thought crept in like a poison. Am I a terrible person for wanting the wedding I've dreamed of? That guilt gnawed at me, growing heavier by the hour. The pressure was unbearable, and the worst part? I had no idea this was only the beginning. For days after that phone call, I walked around with a knot in my stomach. Tight, pulsing, impossible to ignore. I avoided every call from my mother. I muted the family group chat. I buried myself in wedding tasks, but nothing felt joyful anymore. Picking flower arrangements while wondering if your family hates you is a special kind of emotional whiplash. Ethan watched me from across the living room one evening, his laptop open but forgotten. Laverne, he said gently, we need to talk about this. I froze. He continued, your mom, your sister, this situation isn't going away. I don't want our wedding to add to anyone's pain. Something inside me wilted. What about my pain, Ethan? Does that matter? He sighed. Of course it does. I just don't want you to regret anything later. Regret. That word haunted me. Suddenly, even he felt far away. For the next few days, I pulled away, emotionally, not intentionally, but because my heart felt overcrowded with anger and guilt and confusion. I needed space just to think without someone questioning every thought. Then, out of nowhere, my mom called again. This time she didn't ask for me. She asked for Ethan. A terrible sign. He picked up on speaker. Ethan, sweetheart, she said in that soft, motherly tone she saved for people she wanted to manipulate. I'd love to invite you both for dinner. I'm making pot roast. No agenda, no wedding talk. I just miss you. I narrowed my eyes. No agenda? My mother always had an agenda. But Ethan smiled. He's wired that way, always willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. That sounds lovely, he told her. I wanted to scream. Before we left for her house, I grabbed Ethan's arm. Listen to me carefully, I said. If she brings up the wedding, if she even mentions it, do not agree to anything. Don't say we'll think about it. Don't try to mediate. Just let me handle it. He raised his hands, half amused, half confused. Okay, Laverne, I promise. I didn't trust that promise. Not because Ethan is unreliable. He's the most dependable man I've ever known. But because my mother has a way of getting inside people's heads with her trembling voice and sad eyes. When we arrived, the night felt thick with tension even though everything looked normal. Familiar living room, warm lights, the smell of roast in the air. But my skin prickled with instinct. Melanie wasn't there. That alone was suspicious. The first 20 minutes were fine. Mom served dinner. She complimented Ethan's work. She asked about our week. She even smiled at me once or twice. It should have relaxed me. It didn't. Then the shift happened, so smoothly I almost didn't catch it. Mom put her fork down and folded her hands, sighing wistfully. You know, she began, your father and I got married at the registrar's office. Just the 4 parents and a simple lunch afterward. We used the money we saved to build our first home. It was the best decision we ever made. Ethan nodded politely. That's lovely. My breath caught. Here it comes, Mom continued. These days people waste so much money on weddings. It's not necessary. What matters is the marriage, not the event. My spine stiffened. Mom, we've been over this. She gently cut me off. I'm just saying, dear, you don't need a big show. Our family has always believed in modest weddings. We're simple people. I stared at her. Simple people? Is that what she calls the 100-guest wedding she planned for Melanie's first marriage? I said Melanie's wedding wasn't simple. Mom patted the table as if I were an unruly child. That was your father's doing. He wanted to see at least one of his daughters have a big wedding. It was his dream. That hit me like a slap. She was using Dad, dead 5 years, as a weapon now. I felt heat rising up my throat. So he didn't want to see my wedding? Mom's eyes glistened with carefully timed tears. If he were here, he would want peace. He would want us united. And right now, you're hurting your sister. Ethan shifted uncomfortably beside me. My mother saw it, and she pounced. She turned to him and said, "You're such a thoughtful man, Ethan. You understand these things. You know how important family harmony is." He hesitated, and then, oh God, I knew it. His gentle heart betrayed him. We don't want to cause harm," he said softly. "If changing a few things helps." My chair scraped loudly against the floor as I sat up straight. "Ethan?" He froze. I glared at my mother. "Can we please stop pretending this dinner isn't an intervention?" At that exact moment, Melanie walked in. She didn't knock, didn't greet us. She just strode straight to the table, saw Mom's tears, and immediately wrapped an arm around her. "Don't worry, Mom," Melanie said loudly, shooting a look at me. "I'll always make you proud and listen to you. Some people only think about their stupid parties." My pulse spiked. "This isn't a party. It's my wedding." "And you should have canceled it," she shot back. "You're so desperate to show off you can't even see how hurt I am." I clenched my jaw. "I'm not showing off. I'm getting married. I'm not marrying your ex. Why is my happiness such an attack on you?" Melanie scoffed. "Because you're rubbing it in my face. I booked everything a year ago. You didn't even know your groom when I signed the contracts." That finally cracked her mask. Her voice rose. "You should care more about my trauma than your stupid venue." I could feel myself unraveling. Months of insults and silent resentment had poured into my veins like fire. Then she said it, the thing that snapped the final thread. "It's stupid to spend that much money on a single event." I stood up slowly, trembling. "It is just one event, the most meaningful one of my life. And unlike some people," I stared her dead in the eyes, "I'm planning to have it only once." The room froze. Melanie's jaw dropped. Mom gasped. Ethan whispered, "Laverne." Too late. The volcano inside me was already erupting. Mom started yelling. Melanie started crying. Ethan tried to pull me toward the door. I let him drag me out, but before we crossed the threshold, I turned back and said, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, "The wedding will go on as planned. If you have a problem with it, don't come." The door slammed behind us. The next few days were a nightmare carnival. I learned from my cousin, the family gossip hotline, that Melanie had been telling everyone I mocked her for her failed relationships, that I laughed about her being left at the altar. None of it was true. Every detail was twisted beyond recognition. Worse, Mom backed her up. They called me arrogant, insensitive, selfish. My fiancé defended me at first, but eventually he stepped back, saying, "I can't get involved in your family's situation. Whatever you decide, I'll support." Support in theory, but he wanted out of the blast zone. So I made my decision alone. I wrote them both an email. Short, clear, firm. I told them they were officially uninvited from the wedding. I explained that they had insulted me, slandered me, cursed me, and attempted to sabotage the most important day of my life. And I copied a few key family members, my godmother, an aunt, an uncle, so the truth couldn't be twisted again. The reaction came swiftly. First, Melanie's voicemail. A long, venomous message where she sobbed and shrieked that I was a spoiled brat, that I would never be happy, that my husband would eventually cheat on me or abandon me, so I'd know exactly how she felt. Her words sliced through me like glass. Then came Mom's email. Cold, short. "I am disowning you. Do not come to my house again. You clearly don't care about family." I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my screen as tears streamed down uncontrollably. 1 week before my wedding, my own mother and sister cursed me, disowned me, and wished heartbreak upon me. And the worst part? There was still more pain coming, much more. The morning after their messages, I woke up feeling hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left only the shell. I sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at the wedding dress hanging near the window. It looked beautiful, ethereal, everything I'd once dreamed of. And yet, I felt absolutely nothing. Ethan walked in quietly, carrying 2 mugs of tea. He set one beside me, then crouched down so he could look into my eyes. "Laverne," he whispered, "talk to me." I shook my head. Words felt like sandpaper in my throat. He took my hands gently. "I know your family hurt you, but don't let them take away our day. This wedding, this marriage, is ours." Something in me cracked. Tears spilled before I could stop them. Ethan pulled me into his chest, holding me as if he could keep me from falling apart completely. The next couple of days blurred into a haze of last-minute preparations mixed with raw grief. I tried to focus on seating charts, vendor messages, playlist updates, but every time I paused, even for a breath, Melanie's curses and my mother's disownment flickered through my mind like ghosts haunting the edges of my vision. Just when I thought the storm had reached its peak, my phone rang. Mom! For a full minute, I stared at her name flashing on the screen, my heart hammering against my ribs. I didn't want to answer. I didn't want more poison. But something inside me, maybe exhaustion, maybe curiosity, pressed my finger to accept. Laverne, she said quietly. Her voice didn't sound angry or manipulative. It sounded broken. I need to see you, she said. Please, just for a few minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe near the river, neutral territory where neither of us could slam a door or walk away without witnesses. Mom was already seated when I arrived, hands clasped tightly around a mug as if it could keep her steady. She looked smaller than I remembered, older. When she saw me, her eyes filled instantly with tears. Without speaking, she reached into her purse and pulled out a folded letter. She slid it toward me with trembling fingers. "It's from your sister," she whispered. I didn't touch it at first. I just stared. Mom swallowed hard before continuing. She's been struggling more than we realized. Her therapist told her to write down the feelings she couldn't say out loud. She paused, blinking fast. She asked me to give this to you. My chest tightened as I slowly unfolded the letter. Melanie's handwriting was shaky, almost childlike. Laverne, I don't know how to face you right now. I know what I said to you was unforgivable. I know I hurt you deeply. I wasn't angry at you. I was angry at everything. At being abandoned. At feeling like a failure, at seeing you have everything I wanted but couldn't keep. Your wedding wasn't the problem, my shame was. I took it out on you because I knew you always tried to be strong and you wouldn't break easily, but you did, and that's on me. I'm sorry. I want you to have a beautiful wedding, even if I can't attend. I hope one day you can forgive me. Melanie. I read it twice, 3 times. My chest tightened so painfully it felt like someone was pressing a fist against my heart. I had wanted an apology, but not like this. Not soaked in pain and regret and vulnerability. Mom reached across the table, touching my hand gently. Laverne, I'm sorry too. I looked up sharply. She nodded, tears spilling freely. I've been grieving your father for years, and when Melanie came home broken, I panicked. I wanted to fix everything for her. I thought protecting her meant pushing you aside. I didn't realize I was hurting you in the process. She took a shaky breath. You didn't deserve any of it. Not the guilt, not the pressure, not the words we threw at you. I felt my throat tighten. Then why did you choose her side every time? Because, she whispered, voice cracking, she needed me. And I didn't want to lose you too. That sentence unraveled something inside me. I didn't forgive her instantly. Real life doesn't work like that. But I understood her more clearly than before. No excuses. Just messy, human vulnerability. By the end of that meeting, I made a decision. I called Melanie first. She answered after 3 rings, her voice small and wary. I got your letter, I said softly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know that doesn't fix anything. It's a start, I said. We talked for several minutes, awkward, tentative, but honest. She wasn't ready to come to the wedding. I didn't force it. She wished me happiness, her voice cracking near the end. Then I called Mom. If you want to come to the wedding, I said, you're welcome. She let out a breath that sounded like relief and gratitude woven together. Thank you, sweetheart. I won't cause any problems, I promise. And just like that, the storm softened. Not gone, but no longer swallowing me whole. Our wedding day arrived on a crisp December morning, the kind where the air feels cold enough to sting your cheeks, yet sunlight still manages to glow warmly through the trees. The garden venue looked enchanted. White and gold decorations draped from branches, fairy lights twinkling like stars fallen to earth, winter flowers adding soft bursts of color. Guests arrived in scarves and warm coats, breath forming tiny clouds. When I stepped out in my dress, a hush fell. Ethan turned around. The look on his face, the awe, the love, the softness, made every tear, every sleepless night, every argument fade into insignificance. Laverne, he whispered, voice breaking. You're breathtaking. The ceremony was intimate, heartfelt, emotional. When we exchanged vows, both of us cried. Even the officiant looked misty-eyed. Our guests clapped and laughed and wiped their own tears. It felt like the world had shrunk to just us and this moment. And then, midway through the reception, my mom took the microphone. I froze. I swear I felt my soul leave my body for a second. But then she started speaking. And it wasn't a lecture, or manipulation, or guilt. It was beautiful. She talked about my childhood, about how proud she was of me, about how my father would have been thrilled to see this day. She even joked lightly about how stubborn I'd been since age 5, making the guests laugh. Her voice shook with sincerity, not performance. When she stepped down from the small stage, she hugged me. Really hugged me. Not stiff, not obligatory, real. Later in the night, as the lights dimmed and soft music played, she and I shared a dance. We didn't speak much, just held on to each other, letting the months of pain slowly dissolve into something gentler. Even Melanie found a way to be present. She sent a bouquet, a beautiful one, and a short note wishing me love and peace. I placed it near the family photo table right beside Dad's picture. When the reception ended, Ethan and I led our guests outside. One by one, we released lanterns into the sky, symbolic, glowing, drifting toward the stars. People cheered, whispered their wishes, held hands. As my lantern floated upward, I closed my eyes and let go of everything. The resentment, the curses, the guilt, the fear, all of it. When I opened my eyes again, the lanterns were rising in a cluster of soft lights, like hope itself taking flight. Standing beside Ethan, wrapped in his warmth, I realized something. This wedding wasn't just the beginning of our marriage. It was the beginning of healing. For me, for Mom, and maybe one day for Melanie too. And for the first time in months, I felt at peace.